Cults are a bit of a weird thing, aren't they? Whether it's in real life or in video games. Some can be harmless, and yet others can actually pose a danger to the public. However, I don't want to get into that sort of rant on the video. Today, what we're going to be doing is focusing on two specific cults that occur within Bioshock. Don't worry, the Rapture Family will be getting their own video, so we're not going to be covering them in this one. We're going to be taking a look at the Saturnine from Bioshock 1 and the Fraternal Order of the Raven from Bioshock Infinite. Again, this is a little on the weird side of things, but it's a cult nonetheless. So with that being said, welcome to episode 2 of the Bioshock Untold Stories. I do hope you guys enjoy it, and if there's anything in particular that you want to see for episode 3, please let me know down in the comment section below. Without further ado, sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy. So by definition, a cult is a social group that is defined by its unusual religious, spiritual, or philosophical beliefs, or by its common interest in a particular personality, object, or goal. In this video, you're going to see more so one that's actually pertaining to a particular personality, and the other is more of a religious or even spiritual personality. So let's hop into the Saturnine first. So the Saturnine are a bit of a weird oddity within Bioshock. They're only in one particular area, that being Arcadia, and you only see them as you're trying to gain the parts to build the Lazarus Vector. Essentially, who the Saturnine are just a bunch of Houdini splicers who worship various gods of ancient Roman and Greek mythology, as well as things like symbols that represent the zodiac, as well as various planets within the solar system. And obviously this does make a little sense. There's things like Arcadia, Aphrodite, and Hephaestus that are mentioned all throughout Bioshock, so it does make sense that they worship these particular Greek and Roman gods, or even places for that matter. So it seems that the Saturnine's ideology is to basically worship nature, as seen by the caves. There's a ton of water, there's a ton of these wooden statues that catch a flame when you enter and after you pick up the chlorophyll solution, and it just seems that, essentially, pun intended, they're down with the earth. Obviously, as well as any cult, because it's a bit of a cliche, there's altars in there, with things like liquor, blood, moldy pumpkins for some specific reason. I'm not exactly sure why, but hey, it's a part of nature, and I do understand. The actual name, Saturnine, is a reference to the Roman god Saturn, so here we go again with the ancient Roman and Greek mythology. And if you don't know, Saturn is the god of agriculture, founder of civilizations, social order, and conformity. And you can even look that up for yourself. There's a little history lesson for you there. These members, which are just typical Houdini splicers, wear masks that are made out of twigs, straw, leaves, and wear red clothing most of the time, and have whitened their faces with white face paint. Not to be confused with the plaster that Sander Cohen uses within the plaster splicers. As I mentioned earlier, there's only one particular part within the entirety of Bioshock where you actually meet this cult. Typically, with cults, there's large numbers of followers to that particular cult. It seems like there's only 2 or 3 members of the Saturnine, and even people within Rapture don't necessarily mention them, except for Julie Langford. And she actually leaves an audio diary for you to listen to, which I'll play now for you guys.
They dress up in leaves and call themselves the Saturnine. Please. They drink human blood and chant, "Harness the flame, harness the mist," and believe they're touched by the ancient gods. An aging bunch of frat boys tilting back goblets of plasmids and calling it ambrosia.
Oddly enough, the only other sentient beings that actually acknowledge the existence of the Saturnine are splicers, and for some reason, they seem to either fear or hate them. They usually run in terror, or within groups, they will actually attack them, but only when the splicers are in groups. That's a little weird in my personal opinion. Despite the quote from Langford within that audio diary, describing the Saturnine as, quote, an aging bunch of frat boys, female members of the cult also existed and are encountered by Jack, so I thought that was a nice little touch as well. So now here's a little bit of a downer in terms of the Saturnine. It seems like there were big plans for them to actually be involved within the storyline during the Arcadia part of Bioshock. However, that wasn't the case, as obvious by the gameplay that was shown and by what I've actually spoken about. And that is for one particular reason. They were added essentially very, very late within the Arcadia level itself, thus not very deeply involved within the actual game, and that is a true shame. Obviously, their full-fledged backstory was never really there, and the only way that we even know who they were before experiencing them in the first place was due to that audio diary, and they were once considered business elites or a college fraternity who had gone feral due to sipping plasmids or their chlorophyll solution, calling it, as Julie Langford puts it, ambrosia. Now let's go on the flip side to something that I never thought I would say. Let's talk about a cult that despises Abraham Lincoln, worships John Wilkes Booth, and paints George Washington as a sort of angelic figure. That being the Fraternal Order of the Raven. This is weird, man. This is so weird. So before jumping into ideals and stuff like that, this is actually based on a real life cult, and it has 3 of the same letters in it, and they wear a lot of white. I'm not going to say the name of that cult within this video because I want absolutely nothing to do with that. I don't want to mention that. And also, I do not like this group whatsoever or what they stand for. So, I do apologize for that. But in context, you guys more than likely know who I'm referring to, and especially when I describe what the Order of the Raven wear. So, I just wanted to preface that. Essentially, the Order of the Raven glorify and almost treat John Wilkes Booth as a saint for committing the assassination against Abraham Lincoln because of the abolishment of slavery. And Zachary Comstock actually labels him as the Emancipator, so you can already see where this is going. Members of the Order cloak themselves in hoods and robes reminiscent of said group. That's where you guys can kind of put 2 and 2 together, unfortunately. The Order believes that Columbia's racist ideals make it and their citizens superior to the rest of the world, and they seek to enforce a doctrine of racial purity. Where have I read and heard of that before? I don't know. The most prominent members of this order are the Zealots, or the Zealots, however you would like to pronounce it. Essentially, the Crows. They count among the elite forces of the Founders, and are occasionally sent to attempt to kill Booker DeWitt, even though they're extremely weak. Fun fact about them, Sander Cohen, his voice actor, actually voices the Crows as well. So, if you didn't know, now you know that one. So on his way to Monument Island to meet up with Elizabeth, this is when Booker discovers their actual headquarters. As soon as you enter, there is a statue with a lot of crow feces on it, so to speak, and this place is pretty typically trashed. Unfortunately, debris is everywhere, so it doesn't seem like a very good place to settle for a while. There's a statue of John Wilkes Booth in the foyer, or the lounge, and a bar which contains a painting of John Wilkes Booth in a golden glow assassinating a devil-themed Abraham Lincoln at Ford's Theater, which I'll put on the screen right now for you guys to check out. Also within the ceremony hall, there's a mural of George Washington, who happens to be holding the Liberty Bell in one hand and the Ten Commandments in the other. This cult is completely delusional. I'm just going to say that outright. They are so delusional. But this leads to one of my favorite parts within Bioshock Infinite, and it involves Devil's Kiss. As you know, if you stand on the balcony, you can listen to the ramblings of basically the leader of the group, or one of the leads of the group. If you use a Devil's Kiss bomb and throw it in between them, watch the fireworks happen. You guys will not regret that. After that, you can walk up to the altar and get a key which will actually allow you to be able to backtrack, open a chest, and you'll be able to get an infusion and I believe a voxophone as well. When Booker opens up a chain door, which is probably the most excruciating scene to watch within Bioshock Infinite, the base game, not the DLC, he witnesses a prisoner getting executed by a murder of crows and sees the leader, another crow, walking away and then vanishing. After breaking the chain on the door, he walks into an indoor garden where you can see victims that are actually hanging within trees and within cages in those trees. So, essentially, like human monkeys. Really fucked up stuff. Suddenly, as soon as you're not expecting it, the crow comes back and starts fighting with Booker. Once you take him down, you gain the ability to use Murder of Crows. And then obviously, upon exiting, you're at the gondola, and then you can make your way to Monument Island. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you really enjoyed that video. Within this series in particular, since the main lore videos that I do cover the majority of the either main characters or the major characters within the series, this is to inform you about some of the minor characters or the minor groups, so hopefully you learned something new today. If you want to see any particular topic covered within episode 3, please let me know down in the comment section below. I would greatly appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, consider dropping a like, as it does help out the channel and it helps get videos into recommended. Same thing with comments, so feel free to do so. If you want to join the Rapture family and see more videos or live streams in the future, would you consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications by clicking the bell and hitting all? That would be very much appreciated as well. If you want to see any previous videos, they should be popping up on the screen here shortly. And with that being said, if you want to talk to me outside of YouTube, my social medias are the best ways to do so. Things like my Twitter, Instagram, and Discord server will be linked in the description for you guys to go check out. Again, thank you so much for watching today's video. With that being said, take care, stay safe, and I will talk to you all in the next one.